It's a great honor and a privilege to introduce Renee Bornstein. Your maiden name was Koenig,
yeah.
And you grew up in
I
Strasbourg.
grew up in Strasbourg. I was born 1934. In 1939, we were evacuated from Strasbourg because the German wanted to do the Alsace-Lorraine completely German. So we were evacuated. My late father was taken as a prisoner, as a soldier. He was taken in the French army as a soldier. And my mother and we were 3 children at the time. We were evacuated in France. We had a few etaps. And it was quite difficult for my late mother. She didn't know where my father was. And I came from a good home.
Was it a religious home?
Yeah, it was a religious home. Very religious even.
And you remember when the Germans came in, when you had to...
No, I was 5 years old. No, the Germans didn't come in. We were evacuated. It was made from the people in charge, the police in charge from Strasbourg. It was by letter. I don't know how we were evacuated. So all the Jews had to leave Alsace-Lorraine, these 2 provinces, everybody. And then my father was soldier, 39. And he he was liberated in 1940. And I think they didn't take him prisoner because he had not a Jewish name, Koenig. And then he joined my late mother and us.
You went to
Saint-Junien.
That's in...
Haute-Vienne, in Limousin, dans le Limousin. It's near Limoges, where the famous porcelain comes, the china from Limoges. You don't know? You didn't hear from Limoges?
And there you stayed in a home with your mother?
No, my parents had a flat. We stayed in the flat, in a house. Only a nice house. It was a very small little town, very friendly people. And it was off razzia. And when my late parents organized that we should go in hiding, the neighbor said, we don't understand, but why do you go in hiding? Jews are people like us. Until they came, they put, how to call it, round up, took Jews from the street, from ever they could find them. And also, Jewish people were registered as Jews. And unfortunately, I have to say, in France, was 50% of the population was collaborateur. I only heard it very late in life, I heard it, A lot were good, saved, like... when we were taken, we were hidden from one convent to the other. And in the wartime, when it was a roundup, my late parents, first they went to a farmer, and they were very nice people, the farmer, and one day she said to my mother, I can't give you hospitality, because otherwise I will be killed with you. Caught me, I will be killed with you. So my parents find then somewhere else in a convent. We went in a convent.
And how was it in the convent?
We slept only nights. I remember that. I remember we slept in the chapel on the floor. The next morning went back in the flat. They did also a roundup in the day, in the night, nobody knew exactly. Because the little town where we were, it was only 10,000 inhabitants. And it was also a lot of underground people and the communists. So at the time, all the Jews were communists, So they were under the underground and the Jews. So it was, and then one day, it was organization. A few times people came to see my parents. Your duty is to save your children. Because the children were taken in school, on the street, everywhere. Sometimes they took even French children because they looked like Jews, Anyway, my parents, with a big heart, decided they let you go. It was already end of the war. It was worse and worse. They decided, it was an organization called OSE in Limoges. And they decided and said to my parents, it's a very good organization and we will be managed to escape in Switzerland. We will be saved. So my parents let us go. So we were 2 weeks in Limoges, in a convent. The nuns were very good. But we saw a girl in front of us one day. she was 15, and they said we are invited for the baptized. She was baptized, was a Jewish girl, and the nun said she lost her memory because her parents were killed in front of her. It was still cold. I was 10 years old, and I remember that, and I see the face of this girl. It was terrible. And then they also said to us, one nun particularly, she said to us, you know, you're Jewish, you're going to die because you're Jewish. So if you convert in Catholic, you will be saved. And they asked her, was individually, my sister, my brother was not with us, my sister and me. And as I was 10 years old, I said, no, I will remain Jewish. It's been, Judaism is something very deep. Huh? That was it. And then we were from Limoges, we were taken in Lyon. It was a big bombardment, and the Gare Perrache was bombed. And then from there, the Madreha Marianne Cohn, it was always different Madreha. She went and fetched us to go to Annecy, or maybe, yeah, went to Annecy, and we were waiting for a lorry to bring us to this hidden border to go to Switzerland. It was a very nice day, it was hot, it was June, and what happened? Yes, we waited for she said, Marianne Cohn, to us, children, we missed the train, so I will find a lorry driver with a lorry, and he will bring us to Switzerland. And this poor lorry driver didn't know that we were Jewish children, nothing. She brought us to the border, clandestine border, and then the dogs were heard that very late in life. The dogs, Gestapo, they had dogs, and they retraced us. The dogs, and they caught us. We went just to caught us. We went out of the lorry. We're supposed to go out of the lorry, and straight away was, at the time it was a Rolls Royce, the Citroën with 4 officers, Gestapo officer, and behind a big lorry with soldiers, as we children could escape. Yeah, it was really terrible.
And you were right on the border with Switzerland?
Yeah, we were one boy, he escaped, he was 11 years old. He had already a foot in Switzerland, and the Nazi caught him still, took him back. We were very near, yeah.
And what do you remember of Marianne?
Oh, that she was such a kind girl, always gave us good word, encouraged us. And we always say, we were interrogated, I didn't tell you that, when they caught us, they asked Marianne, where are you going? She said, it's a big bombardment in Lyon, which was true, and the children are children from cheminots, that's the workers in the station, and I put them, they needed to go in a children's home. And she said, where? I said, Pas de l'Échelle. We are in Pas de l'Échelle, and the woman in charge, the directress from this home, children home, when she saw us, she said, no, not these children, because she only expected boys. So, and the Nazis, they knew straight away that we were Jewish. And then we were interrogated after each word, are you Jewish, Jewish? We were from 19 to 3 years old, different age. So the 90 big ones, they sent straight away to the prison, and we were sent a few hours later in the middle of the night in prison, in Annemasse.
And how old were you? You were
10 years.
10 years old.
I'm born February, it happened June. Yeah. But you know, it is a trauma in life, you all remember that.
And how long did you stay in the prison?
I don't know if it was 2 weeks, maybe maximum, not quite. The Lord Mary saved us because it was June, and the chef of the Gestapo from this prison, he was called Maya, and the Lord Mayor came to see us each day. They said he brought us food. It's probably true, but I don't remember that. He brought us food, and they said to the mayor, they need now the room. They have no room, and it was a small prison. It's overcrowded, they need the room, and they need somebody to do the trench. You see trench? The trenches. They need somebody to do the trenches. So the Lord Mayor, he made a deal with them. He said, I know where to send the children, and I have a home, children's home, and he said to them, oh, they came, you know, I was in children's home a few weeks or few months, and they said they used to come and count if, well, all the children, 30 children, if we are there. If not, we would be killed, with included the mayor. But anyway, when they asked the mayor for trenches, les tranchées, these trenches, the mayor made a deal. He said, look, it's end of the war. You know that you lost the war. I make a deal. You know you are going to be killed. Give the children free, and I will help you to go to Germany, join Germany through Switzerland. So we went. The Lord Mayor sent us to Switzerland in Geneva, in a center from the Red Cross.
He helped you go to
Yeah, the Lord Mayor, yeah, he organized that for us. Because he was afraid that the Gestapo might come back. Couldn't come back, it was finished. The underground in this part of France, La Haute-Savoie, they were very, very strong. I think they were one of the strongest in the whole France.
And Renee, can I just ask, when you were in the prison,
yeah,
do you remember the interrogation?
Yeah, after each word they said, are you Jewish? What is your name? Are you Jewish? How old are you? Are you Jewish? After each word. And then we were, you know, first we had false name. And Marianne, she was so beaten, she was so tortured. I remember how she looked when she came out of this torture, you know, and terrible. She said to us, children say everything. So we said our real name, but we didn't give away the address. I was with my sister, she's 3 years older, and they said they wanted absolutely to know where the parents lived to do, you know, to deport them, take them in the camp. So we didn't say. My sister gave a false address, and then when she said the real name, König, so we said, get out. We understood it, it's German, but in Alsace you speak a dialect. We look like German, but it's not German. We said, get out. And my sister, we didn't move, you know, first of all, you know, we were so afraid, you can paralyzed. I was at 10 years old paralyzed from these people. And you know, with the guns in front of you as children. And many years after, I saw this man, and I can't remember. I couldn't work it out. How many years I see this man in front of me. He had unusual blue eyes. It's even described like that. And I wanted to retrace him. I never find out what happened to this man, to this murderer. He had a lot of blood on his conscience. And it was him, Maya, and it was one who does only the torture. Can you imagine? It was unbelievable when you think about it. Now I have to say, thank God we have Israel. That's the biggest thing Jewish people have. And when you think, because just you are Jewish, you were so...
you were only 10 and
yeah.
You were interrogated.
Yeah, we were
It must have been
interrogated.
horrendous. It must have been harrowing.
At the time. Yeah, we saw a boy, he was a year older than I, and he said his parents lived in Nancy, and they knew Nancy was so unoccupied. No Jews were allowed to live there. And he said, my parents live in Nancy, and they beat him up in front of us. He said, if you don't say the truth, it will happen to you. They were very ferocious, that I remember. It was, he interrogated my sister 30, I 10, and my brother 9. Together, and the other one were taken, each one, if they had no brother, separately. The interrogation went. But you know, so it was, and when we were, the Lord Mayor was an unusual, nice man. He always gave us good word. First, Marianne gave us, always cheered us up, but he was so tortured. And she was taken, I think, 1 month before the liberation. They took her out of prison and killed her in a terrible way. Before killing her, they tortured her, they raped her. I was told that much late in life. She was really somebody very special, can you imagine? And she already was caught and she escaped. I don't know when, before that she took us, and she escaped. And her parents asked her, please, don't do that anymore. And she promised, she said, this convoy, she said to her parents, will be the last. It was really the last, you know, it was, when you think about it, gives me still cold.
And her name was Marianne Kahn.
Yeah,
And she could have herself escaped to Switzerland. She could have.
easily, because the underground would save her, the Lord Mayor could save her. It was different way that she's ill, they could send her to hospital. It was different way to save her. But she said, the parents trust me to look after the children, I won't leave them. She gave her life away. I think if she would escape, they probably would killed us straight away. Because they take us as otage.
And Renee, can I just ask, when you were in
Saint-Junien.
there was a French family that hid you in their home.
Yeah, it was a French.
And they endangered their lives as well.
But they, at the end, they couldn't, because they were so afraid. Because if they caught people who hide the Jews, they would kill the same way as the Jews. So she said she can't do it anymore.
And your daughter, Naomi, when she went back, she met with their son, with the grandson,
Yes,
Jacques.
yeah. I don't know, you know that? I couldn't
amazing.
tell you. Noemi wanted to retrace the way, and I said to the camera, my son asked, why really should be my mother who goes back to Saint-Junien? I don't think that's beside the point that I would have the physical strength. But my son asked, how come you don't take my mother? And he said, you know, if we take elderly people, he doesn't attract for the film.
Oy. But you did go back to the prison in...
yeah, but no, I didn't enter the prison. I couldn't. I went to Almas.
Yeah.
And you know, it was a fantastic thing, because the Lord Mayor, I said to Noemi one night, I said, Noemi, I would like to say thank you. I know that the mayor is not alive, but maybe his son or grandchildren. The son was not in life, but the grandson. And the grandson was also in the 60s already. And he had the grandson had a grandson of 6 years old. And you know, when I arrived, this little boy, the whole day, didn't leave my hand. I don't know, have you got a photo? Do you have no photo?
Yeah.
He put his head against me. And Noemi asked, is his father? The father was there also. Is he always with everybody like that? No, it's the first time. It's like, I said to me, it's like his great-grandfather asked him to look after me. And he made me smile, this little boy. He was never, I have 9 or 11 grandchildren. Never one of my grandchildren showed me so much affection.
Really?
Yeah, he showed me so much affection, this little boy. Well, you know, there are good people on the earth, thank God. But you know, when you think about that, I just told a story to my daughter, to Muriel. One family was good friends, they had no children, and he was a doctor, the man, and this gentleman, and his sister lived also in the same little town as us, with a husband and 2 children. As he had no children, his nephew and niece were like his own children. And I can vaguely remember they were older than us a little bit. And they were overnight, all taken, never came back. You know, it was like that. You cannot imagine. I could tell you so many stories, but it makes me, you know, it aggravated me, it makes me very nervous. Then a few days after I need a few days to recover when I mention it. I said after that, I said to Noemi, I have to avoid to talk about it. Even it's my duty to talk about it. But it was now, it is indifferent, you know this story. And now it is a French writer, he phoned me twice, but I don't know if he's Jewish, maybe, don't even remember his name, and he said he will write a book about Marianne Kahn, and he will publish it 2022 when she would be 100 years, in 2022. She was 22 years old, this girl.
Marianne.
Yeah.
So it's a lot because of her that you survived, and you're...
And I never forget her face. I see her my entire life in front of me, how she was, dressed, everything. I saw a photo 50 years later, and it's exactly like I represent her. You know, when a human being has a trauma, you remember. Even if you remember everything. Maybe I don't know if I remember everything, but I remember.
And when you went back to
Never went back to Saint-Julien, no.
You never went back?
No.
Where did you go when you went back? You went to...
We went to our parents. We were very lucky because a lot of children didn't find their parents anymore, were deported. We went back to our parents.
And you were reunited with your parents?
Yeah, with my parents, yeah. It was the nicest.
That must have been the most incredible moment when
I remember I think my parents, they cried for joy, you know, when they saw us.
Where were they living, your parents? Where did you reunite? Was it in France?
No, we were somebody from the Red Cross. It was far away at the time, very far. A long journey took us from Genève to Limoges, Saint-Julien. Yeah, somebody, I don't remember who. One sister said this one, but I know it is somebody from the Red Cross.
And Renee, can I just ask you, when you were in Geneva, were you treated well?
Yes, I think we were treated. It was the Red Cross. There was not many Jewish people.
You were sent to a Jewish family?
We were Sunday, as it was far away. Shabbat, we couldn't be invited. They fetch us Sunday. So my sister had a very nice family, and my brother. And I was very sensitive. I had a family, and they antagonized me. Do you play piano? How come I don't play piano? I got out from the prison, and in their head, I didn't tell them anything, didn't mention, but I didn't want to go back.
Was it a Jewish family?
Yeah, of course. Jewish family. They organized a Jewish family come to invite the Jewish children. We were arrested June, and November we went back. But you know, people in Switzerland, nobody could imagine what happened, you know.
And it's so close. You were literally on the border with Switzerland.
Annemasse is like you are in Genève. Do you know Genève?
Yes.
It's exactly.
You can see.
It's just a suburb from Genève.
And can you just describe when you met your parents? Did you know that your parents had survived?
Yeah, we knew it because the man who brought us there, he said, no, our parents will wait for us. Yeah, we knew it.
It must have been absolutely unbelievable to see your parents again.
Yeah, it was. I asked sometimes my sister many, many years ago, do you remember if we cried when we were in prison? She doesn't remember. And I said, you know, I thought so now with some old human beings are very adaptable. It doesn't matter. In the convent where we were, and wherever we were in different convents. When we were in Lyon in the convent, it was they bombed the station. We had to go, we spent the night in the cellar. You remember all that, you know. I don't like to remember even, I don't like it. I prefer to forget a little bit.
And Renee, if I can just ask, and after the war, where did you grow up after the war?
We stayed in Saint-Julien, and my parents went back to Strasbourg. We are from Strasbourg. Went back to Strasbourg. And I grew up in Strasbourg. I was brought up. I spent my youth in Strasbourg.
And was it difficult going back, knowing that you once some of the French?
I don't remember. I must tell you, I have to be honest. I don't remember at all how it was when I came back. I don't remember how long this horrible event, how long it follows me, I don't know. I just know because I got married in Germany, and I said to my husband, I cannot live in this country. I was full of hate. None of my children are born in Germany. And my husband, he said, oh, Renee, as soon as I can, we will leave. He was a dentist also.
He studied in Munich?
In Munich. He was a dentist and a doctor in medicine. To operate in the mouth in Germany, you have to be a doctor in medicine.
So he was an oral surgeon as well?
Yeah, he was that. And I got married. It was no European community. It was not that. It was very difficult. And I asked, it was stupid, this man. I asked a dentist who I know in Strasbourg. And they said how it is. I said I would like that my husband move from Munich to Strasbourg and that he can work as a dentist. Oh, he said, Madame, we will get, tu le traduis. on s'armera jusqu'aux dents contre l'invasion allemande.
We will arm ourselves up to the teeth against the German invasion.
And I said, it's a Jewish man, what are you talking about? And then we went to America. My husband had a sister after Auschwitz who went to America also, and you know, they made us so difficult. My husband, we went for a bar mitzvah, and he was always busy. He had to come back quickly to Munich, and then he was a very hard-working man. And I stayed, and he said, Renee, you go. And I went to the Jewish organization. What was it called already?
Igbo.
Yeah, the Igbo. Igbo it was called. And they, you know, they didn't receive, they were not nice. And I said to them, look, you can speak differently to me. I am not a schnorrer. I just ask you help for a survivor from Holocaust. And he's a qualified doctor in medicine and qualified dentist. What do you need? And really I had such a shock, you know, they were so rude. Then I went...
It's so sad, that's tragic.
But you know, we had, as a dentist, he would have to do 2 years in America to work in hospital, 2 years, or to redo exams. As a doctor, 1 year. But he was willing to do it. Then I went to the non-Jewish organization, you know, and I must tell you, it's a shame to say that, but they were so nice, a completely different attitude. They were ready to help. And then I came back to Strasbourg, and my poor late mother, I was very close to my parents. Oh, my mother said, Renee, you're not going to move, you're not going to move to America. Soon it will be EU. You know, they always spoke EU. So, and I was a daughter who lived the nearest. My 2 sisters got married in Manchester. So it was at the time of a long way. So she said, Renee, and it will be EU. Have a little bit patience, they said. And you know, the year my husband passed away, he organized already that the following year we would move to England. He probably wouldn't go to Manchester, he would go to London, because he wanted still to teach. In different country we went, the first thing he liked to see the synagogue, and the second was a dentist clinic. And the French were not, Strasbourg, not up to the standard of the German. It is sad to tell you that.
And really, can I just ask, and I think this is something very hard to understand, when your husband learned medicine and dentistry in Munich, and then he practiced as a dentist and oral surgeon,
yeah,
he treated mainly German patients.
I said that to him.
So,
I asked him the same
he
question.
He could have treated perpetrators as well.
He said, how can you treat these people? Oh, he said, on the moment somebody is on the stool, it's a patient, forget about it. He was above, he writes it in a book, he was above hatreds. I was the contrary, and he was above hatreds.
And he never discussed hate or...
With me, we had a normal life, thank God, you know, never discussed. Time to time, he told me a few times a year, he said, oh, this night I was in the concentration camp. He said he was also very active. He was the president of the Jews and the non-Jews survivors in Munich. And he spoke at Dachau each year, and he organized a monument, but he didn't sign his name. He was a very modest man. And he spoke also, comment on dit la mairie déjà? In the town hall. He spoke each year for the Kristallnacht. He spoke at the town hall in Munich. Yeah, and he had very access to the highest from Munich. They gave him a lot of respect, and you know, the Lord Mayor, and even above the Lord Mayor, he had a good contact with. They respect him and gave him a lot of covet. And they said they had to, you know, the German, they saw, the most of them feel very coupable, guilty. But you know, my son, he told me, I didn't know, one of the sons of Hess, you know, the biggest murderer of the century, he was the head of Auschwitz. And one of the sons went to Auschwitz and asked for forgiveness what his father did. Some Nazis, they were just the contrary. There are quite a few. I don't know. He said himself, I am, in the evening, I am a loving father, and in the day, I am the biggest murderer. It's unbelievable. You know, when I looked for sometimes the info, all camp, what that happened, it's difficult to understand. Because the German Jews were more German than Jewish. And they were a patriot, and they went to the First World War, 14, 18, and got medal. And they contribute a lot to medicine.
To all, everything.
Everything. In music.
In the sciences, in the
literature, it's everything, yeah. And they were treated terribly.
And Ren, I have to ask you, I hope you don't mind if I ask, how come you never spoke to your children about your experiences?
Because it probably hurt me. I don't know why. I wanted to distance, probably. Well, I interpreted that I suffered, you think. I must suffer that I didn't want to talk about it. I just wanted to, when they were 10 years old, my children, my grandchildren, I was thinking, always I said, oh, where was I when I was 10 years old? And I was so happy, and thank God it is peace, you know, you can bring up your children normally.
And you brought up a beautiful family.
Yes, I can thank God, they're very nice. They all, Noam is dedicated to the Holocaust.
And when did you start speaking? When you started telling your story?
When Noemi started, I think, about Holocaust, I think. Sometimes I must say sometimes that something, I don't know, but I couldn't speak. Do you know when I started, Muriel?
Yeah, when Nina was 10, when you lit the candle with Nina was the same age that you lit the candle. She was 10 in Manchester, so about that time.
9 years ago.
And Renee, if I can ask, what you've only been through, no one should ever go through what you've been through.
But you know, I know we shouldn't compare, but I think when I read all this testimony from people who were in Auschwitz, in all the different concentration camps, I said they even went through much more than I went. It was I was lucky, it was a short period, but it affected, I had a trauma. Probably because I didn't want, and at the time you didn't have psychologists, psychiatrists. I would need one, child psychologist, 100%.
But you keep that amazing, and you are amazing, and you brought up your children amazingly. And without any psychiatrists or psychologists, you did an incredible, you and your husband did an incredible...
I always wanted children. I have a love for children. I always wanted children. When I lost my husband, I must say it was very hard, yeah. I lost my husband and my father 3 months later. I had a hard time.
So Shiva in such a short time, twice.
Yeah, it was hard.
And Renee, if I had to ask you, what message do you give to the future generations?
I hope it will never happen again. That I'm very proud we have Israel, and with Israel, I think something like that would never happen again.
And I have to ask you as well, Renee, because it's unbelievable, but what you being in that prison, being interrogated, going through the hiding, going through all the traumas, did you always keep your emunah, your faith?
Yeah, I was even after, I must tell you, I was 10 years old when I went to, we went to Switzerland, and it was just, it was Erev Rosh Hashanah, and we were not, we had somebody who looked after us, but not like today. And then Erev Yom Kippur, my sister got ill. She had a diphtheria, pseudo-croup, and she was put in quarantine. And she was 13, I was 10, and I said, I'm going to fast. I fast since I'm 10 years old. I will fast for her. Yes, and I really, the contrary. I was, as a little girl, I was much stronger than ever. Yeah, this country, God gave you the strength, you know. I was too little to now I can say sometimes, where was God? I say it from time to time.
But when you were going through...
Also, when I read all what happened, you know, this concentration camp, and that 1945, France was finished. They killed 1,500,000 Jews in Hungary. They sent them to Auschwitz. So I said, where was God? But Rabbi Sachs said, what did he say? It's no answer.
Yeah.
My mother lost her parents, 2 brothers, a sister. My father lost his parents, his mother, a sister, and 2 brothers. So the whole family, we never had grandparents, uncle and aunts. It was hard, but it was a general and very general.
Mourning was a general mourning.
A general mourning, it's people.
Your parents didn't lose their faith either. You were both of the religion.
Your parents, they remained firm.
Yeah, my parents remained, maybe, but my father came from a Hasidic home, but he was not Hasidic, but he was a from man, but he remained from, or brought us up from, and my mother also from a very from home, both parents.
And Renee, I just want to ask you, when you look at the French, because there were those that saved and risked their own lives to save fellow Jews, French Jews, and there were those that collaborated.
Yes, because if they massacred a Jew, they will get so and so much money. If I am not mistaken, it was 50 francs at the time, I don't know. I remember because my parents said it. So if they know somebody is Jewish, and our carte d'identité, the ID, was a big stample, big Juif, They knew that. I heard late after, a few years ago, I never thought that France was so did so much collaboration.
But there were also those that risked their lives to save.
Yes, but the government was Vichy, was Pétain, and Laval. Laval, De Gaulle sent him to the death penalty. And De Gaulle didn't get the death penalty because he was 90 years old. But the Germans didn't want the children. They deported the Jews, and they didn't want the children. And Laval forced the Germans to take the children in the death camp. So it was really, when you think about it, it was a very big collaboration. It's very difficult to understand what happened. I read all Europe, they all collaborated. The Pope, I just read yesterday, said he wants to say, he asked forgiveness to the Slovak. He did already to the Slovak. And they had a big, they had the Poles, the Slovaks, all this East country were big collaborators. And Ukraine, very ferocious.
You're very glad that you have a daughter living in Israel and that we have a state of Israel.
Yeah. And grandchildren in Israel, great-grandchildren in Israel. Yeah. Do you live here?
Wow. So, Renee, I just want to thank you.
Pleasure.
I'm so...
Here's a great-great-grandson of the Lord Mayor.
Sure. Can I use this on the...
Yes, do, because...
So this
was such a lovely little boy.
This was the picture of the... Wow. So Renee, really, I want to thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Meeting you, it's been
you are very courageous to do that.
No,
you do what Noemi does. I said, Noemi, how can you do it? I couldn't do that.
It's such an honor and a privilege, really. And you are
you part of Yad Vashem?
No, I just do it voluntary, but this is incredible.
Oh, yeah, look at him.
And this is the picture, sure. But you should only have mazel and bracha.
Thank you, amen.
And Admei Vesrim in good health.
Thank you. All the best to you also.
Have
you got children?
And a grandson.
Yeah,
so I'm really grateful, and and you should just be well at Admei Vesrim. Thank you so much, really. We so appreciate.
I could testimony. I think it's my duty, even I don't feel always like, I don't feel, but I said to Noemi, always I don't feel like it. But it's my duty, I have to do it,
Well, Renee,
I am
really,
just...
we are extremely grateful to you, and
thank you.
All the very, very best, and mazel, and all of Hashem's blessings.
Yes, and to you too. Thank you very much, amen. We should always be in good health.
Baruch Hashem.
And peace in Israel. I'm very upset what happened, to the moment.
Please God. Yeah. But at least we've got our own country, and we can just rely on HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and we've got our own country, thank God.
That's really the most marvelous thing.
My father, who was a survivor and rode the long night, my mum's husband, and he spoke in Dachau every year. He started, actually, the memorial in Dachau. It was very important for him to never forget
his brothers, as he called them. And here it says it's we will forever remember you, and we will never forget you. And that's him in Dachau, and must have been in the early 70s, I reckon. There's no date on the picture. And he spoke every year till he died.